Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World and welcome to my 5 tips for new players of Civilization 6. This game just came out and it's actually a lot of fun and quite deep, however not all of its mechanics are very well explained. So I thought I would make this video containing 5 tips for new players in order to help you get started. So I hope it will be useful and let's begin. Tip number 1, be aware of the Toggle City Details tab. It's right over here and it's quite an important tab because it not only helps you understand the mechanics of the game better, it also helps you build better cities. So let's say I go to Minutes here and I click on Toggle City Details, you will see 3 distinct things: citizen growth, amenities and housing. And then you also have different tabs, for example here about the districts that I have and as well as wonders, and about pantheon beliefs and how many religious citizens I have. But let's focus here on citizen, amenities and housing, and let's start with housing. As you can see here, there's a problem in my city. I have a population growth rate which is slowed by 50%. And that's a problem. I don't have enough houses for my citizens to live in. And as you can see here, I have 2 citizens, which is also said here, but I have 3 housing. And because I only have 1 more housing than the amount of citizens, my population growth is reduced. If I had 4 housing, my population growth wouldn't be reduced. So how do I create housing? Well, there's different ways of doing it. For example, different kind of districts, different buildings. For example, here the Aqueduct gives a lot of housing, but also later in the game, for example, sewers. You can also build improvements which also give you some housing. For example, the farm gives you half a housing, the pasture gives you half a housing, and so on. So make sure you have enough housing for your citizens to live in. But then you of course also need enough food so that your citizens that live in your houses actually get food. Otherwise it would be kind of sad for them. So here you can see a detailed breakdown of why you have a certain amount of food surplus and how that then translates in how many citizens you get over a certain amount of turns, or 1 citizens in 7 turns in my case. Then we have amenities, and amenities are basically how happy your citizens are. You need to provide certain things for them. For example, you can have an entertainment district which they like, for example a coliseum where they can see fights, but you can also have access to luxury resources. For example, here is cocoa, which is a luxury resource, as you can see. So then if I build a plantation on that, then next turn probably, yes, no, not yet, so let's go to the next turn. Alright, so now the plantation has been finished, and if we click here we can see that now we have a luxury resource, and actually we have now 2 more amenities than we actually need. This requirement will go up as the more citizens you have. The more citizens, the more stuff they want and the more amenities you need in order for them to be happy. So be sure to look at this tab because it actually gives you a lot of details about the game and how it actually works. Tip number 2, be aware of what pillaging does. Normally pillaging gives you some kind of a resource if you pillage a tile, for example something like science or gold. However, there are 2 tiles that can actually heal you, which is farmlands as well as fishing boats. So for example, if you're fighting somewhere in the area when you're at war and you actually need to heal a bit, for example this guy here is almost about to die, then you can just say I am going to pillage this tile. And as you can see now he's full health again. So this is really strong. If you're fighting a losing battle, basically as long as you do it close to a farm, you can kind of heal up again, as long as you're on enemy terrain of course. Tip number 3 is also about pillaging, but this time from the receiving end. So as you can see here I have this farm tile and it has been pillaged. So in order for me to use it ever again, I basically need to send a builder there, and once I've done that I can click on this repair icon. Then that will take them a turn and they will basically repair this. The nice thing about this is that it doesn't take a build. So this one started with 4 builds and it can still build 4 things. The only thing it does is cost you basically a turn. However, if you have damaged districts, then you cannot build or repair these with builders. You actually have to do that in your city. As you can see here, when I go to production, you can see that here the Acropolis has been damaged. So if I want to repair it, I have to do that through here, which will actually take me 4 turns. So the only thing that you can repair with workers is actual just improvements, and the rest, like buildings and districts, you have to repair with your city itself. Tip number 4, and maybe my most important tip, is be aware of the importance of water when founding a new city. Water provides housing, and if you don't have water, basically your city can house less citizens than if you would have water. And that's illustrated here. For example, this city has access to a coast, which is well, it's salt water, but at least it's water. And if I click here on the city details, then you can see here that I gain 3 housing from that water. So when I found the city, I can have 3 citizens in there because of the salt water. Here, however, I have access to a river, but also a lake, and I think also an oasis also helps with this. And if you have access to those sources of fresh water, you will actually have housing 5. So having fresh water immediately out of the gate is better than having salt water, because immediately you can have 5 citizens instead of 2 without building any improvements. If you don't have any water like this one here, it's especially terrible because you only get 2 housing from water. So that's a terrible idea to put the city here actually. If you don't have access to water anywhere, however, then mountains can help you out, and the reason for that is a certain building called an aqueduct. This building you have to put next to a river, lake, oasis or mountain, and that will give you 6 housing. If you already have access to fresh water, then you just get +2 housing, which is still kind of nice, but it's much less of course. So basically, if you don't have access to any water yet, then if you put this next to a mountain, then at least you will get 6 housing, which is less than 7, but it's still very good. However, it also has to be built adjacent to the city center. As you can see here, this city center is far away from the mountains, so actually I'll never be able to build this aqueduct, which is stupid for me, but well, that's a way of learning the game. But yeah, be aware of this, that the aqueduct is very important. Try to build your city center next to either a lake, river, oasis or mountain, and have some water from the start, and that will really basically kick off your growth for the city. Tip number 5. Whenever you want to build a district, make sure to remove any features of the terrain to get a certain bonus. To illustrate, let's say we want to build an encampment, and we want to build it here on this rainforest, just for the sake of argument. If I would build it, you can see here this exclamation mark. Placing a district here will remove the rainforest. However, this would be kind of sad, because the rainforest could provide me with some resources. If I would first take a builder and then say remove features, then first I would get 60 production and 60 food, and then the rainforest is gone, and then I could build my encampment without any problems. However, at least I would have gotten those resources. So this is a surefire way of getting something extra before you build a district. So these were my 5 tips for new players. I hope you found them useful, and see you next time.